Hello again, this is Philip Steiger at thebest3d.com, and today I want to show you why there is a planet or a moon in my cup of coffee. It's not a soup, but it's similar. Right, so basically what we have here is a... what shall we call this? Oh, I know what we call this. It's a mixed media experiment. Alright, so for instance, we have a cup of, what's that, cereal or coffee. There you go. And this is a great starting point to create planetary surfaces. I mean, look at all these dimples and bubbles and holes. These are craters. These are basically impact craters. Well, not really impact in this case, the bubbles from underneath it, but you take this into dog waffle and you'll be able to turn these into beautiful planetary surfaces. Let's have a look at how that works. I'm going to, let's start with this one here. I'm going to simply use my copy from the clipboard here and then switch over to dog waffle. And right here I'm going to put that into from the clipboard, paste into a new image. So Control V basically. And this is using PD Pro 6. Now, right now we have this image in dog waffle. So what I'm going to do now is perhaps grab a portion of it here. Or maybe we could scale the whole thing up. There's so many different ways to work with this. Let's use this a little bit with the scale. Go center it somewhat, scale it even more. And perhaps we'll also apply a little bit of a distortion, something like spherize, mirage, fisheye correction, there you go. That allows us to scale it outward a little bit more. Actually, I might want to go the other way. And then also bring it up a little bit more on this end. Whoa, that's a little bit too much. That's actually great if you want to make eyes, some cosmic eyes. But that was a little bit too much, so there you go. Alright, let's use this. And so now this time we have this picture. And all we need to do now this time is to, well, let's do a couple of things. First, store this, because we might want to go back to that at some point. In fact, if you want to go back to the prior image, let's undo this all the way here and store that as well. So we have a couple of snapshots here, right? They're in memory, they're not saved in a file. Let's right click on this here to save this one as well. Store image. So we have a couple of snapshots. We can minimize those, and I'm going to go down lower here below my capture area. But basically we have a couple of snapshots. And now we get to play with another feature, and this one here we will use with, let's see, let's make this a little bit smaller so that it's a little bit more responsive. Let's go with resampling the size. This is a 3000, this was a 10 megapixel image here, so I'm gonna go to half the size. Don't need the best quality for this quick demo. There you go. Alright, so now let's see what happens if we go and use something like transform spherize. Well, that's a start. Alright, looks a little bit like a moon. However, let's go back and store this one. Don't need the big one anymore. Let's store this. So now we're going to apply the lighting effect. That's under the filter stylize lighting tool. And what I'm going to do specifically is put the lighting somewhere in the upper left corner. Put the distance a little bit farther away. Increase the intensity. Add another light. Actually, that's not what I wanted. Well, that's okay, we can work with that as well. Give it a different color. And let's see. Oh yeah, if you go with the smoothness down a little bit, you'll see the bigger craters show up, like this one here. Right, some big shapes, big features start showing up a little bit. So that might be an interesting feature there too. And then let's add another light. This one will make it kind of a reddish or maybe pink, purple, and higher distance. There you go. So we now have a nice little collection of some fine detail. That's going to be the purple, and some lighter yellowish detail. Now they were shown individually, and now here we have them both together, so we need to adjust a little bit on the brightness there. You can bring this one down, this one up. This one here should really be gone. Let's do this. Let's just erase that entire thing to black. There you go. So we got this one here with the big features. And this layer here for the finer detail. And so now once you have something like this, this is a nice starting point for your textures. Click the wrong one here. There you go. And what we can do is flatten that image. There you go. Flatten all layers. And then at that point we might want to perhaps expand the dynamic range, make sure we got as bright as possible. And then we go back to the transform for the spherize tool. So now we got a little bit of a planetary appearance there with the spherize. Now we can put one light over here, the other one on the left side. Let's give it a little bit reddish. And let's see, give it some blue. There you go. And we can also add some ambient light, a little bit additional fractal noise for more structure on the surface. Could be kind of very small detail or bigger. And there you go. Now at this point we'll pick up this background color. It's probably black, but let's just pick it up just to be sure. And then we'll make the image a little bit bigger. We'll add a frame around it. So that would be under the image menu, image size. And we'll keep it in the center, but instead of 1824 we'll give it 2200. It doesn't have to be precise. And instead of 1216, how about 1400? And then that way we'll get a nice little additional frame around it, but that one is defaulting to white. So what we want to do is now use the fill tool and fill it in there. We had picked the black color and now we can fill it in there too. Alright, so here's a first look at how to make an interesting looking planetary surface with a cup of coffee. Now I'm gonna do about the same thing with a different texture. Let's go, and in fact let's go grab the general file converter. With the general file converter we can go, oops, out of the way here. We can go and open, let's see, for my Coffee Planet. Now by default it's looking for bitmap files, BMP. Let's go look for JPEGs. And here they are. Let's go grab, let's see what else could we need here. Let's get some cereal. Alright, so this one's a cereal planet. It's actually showing on the stove of my, let's go zoom to fit here, on the stove of my, on the top of the surface of my stove. So here's another trick. What we'll do is we'll grab this and send this to Dog Waffle. Alright. And once that's in Dog Waffle we can go and, or can we? Well, we're still transferring that right now. Okay, so there it is. Beautiful, yummy. What I'm going to do is, first of all, again, make it a little bit smaller, resample that, half the size. And then I'm going to do a selection here. I'm going to use the circular selection tool, roughly in the middle. It doesn't have to be precise, it's not rocket science, it's art. And let's make it a little bit smaller. So there you go, we got the selection here. Let's see what that selection looks like if I store the alpha. There you go. It's really a circle, but it reshapes it here. Let's go and move that a little bit, so we can go to the selection and blur that with the box or Gaussian blur. Let's get this one here and show the alpha as we blur it. Something like this. Right, and now we go, and so this selection here, we will now pick it into the custom brush. So use the selection as a brush. There's a new shortcut for that, Control B. I will select it from here, and then we can go paint with that, so we can stab them down, and that allows you to have the whole surface plastered with that beautiful. Oops, I painted the wrong one here. I clicked on this one accidentally. Let's go back. There you go. So that would be a way to do this. Now if you wanted that to be symmetrical, you can certainly do that too. You can go and enable vertical symmetry, and in fact vertical mirror even, so you don't have to repaint it. It's already taking the current image, but if you paint some more, it will do that as well. So this could be a very interesting looking planet just because of the symmetry to begin with. Alright, so now let's go back and turn this into a planet indeed. One thing we'll need to do is spherize it. Perhaps we'll want to go into something like a grayscale. There's a grayscale where we can expose it against a lens, colored lens, so that we can get some preference for darker or brighter areas depending on their hue, their color. And let's see, let's go give it some nice dynamic range. Let's capture that, store that image as well. It's a nice little snapshot we need perhaps later again. And let's see. Alright, let's go see what that looks like if we apply some lighting on it. So again, I'm going to first Control Shift and drag this to the side a little bit. And probably don't need this here for the time being, so let's minimize that. And then I'm going to go here and stylize it. Lighting tool, and there we go. So look at that nice rocky looking surface in this case. Let's see if we increase the intensity a little bit, but perhaps give it sort of a dark blue tint. There you go. Let's make it in the upper left corner. Perhaps a little bit brighter, perhaps a little bit closer down. There we go. And of course, again, if we increase the smoothness, you can focus on just the very large shapes, and if you decrease it, it will go more and more into the fine detail as well. And then you can also change how much you want to see the picture versus how much you want to see the elevation map profile of it. So let's go and adjust the texture here just a little bit. A little bit higher distance. And a little bit more of this. This looks like a nice rocky surface. And let's see what else we got. We probably need just one of these. So right now we are ready to go and transform that into a sphere. Let's go spherize it. And with the spherize, here we have a nice interesting looking planet. Now of course it's symmetrical because that's how we started, and perhaps that will look odd, but then again in some cases that's exactly what you want. And let's see, where do we want that bright light and then the darker moonlight. The bluish tint on the moonlight, the reddish tint, the bright light in the upper left. Perhaps a little bit of an atmospheric glow on the inside, or not. This is a dead planet, it's a moon. Let's see what we could add some fractal noise to that. Point light. Make these lights a little bit more point lights or specular highlights. Fiddle with all these. And there you go. Let's store that. Let's see another example. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the general file converter one more time. And this time I'm going to navigate and pick another one of those coffee forms. This time I'm going to go still looking for the JPEGs. Let's see, we got surfaces. This one's the surface of the skin of my cat. There's actually some interesting news for that. If you look at it, there's basically sand dunes or waving patterns there. So let's take a look at how we can explore that into a Planet, export that to PD. And again, with the general file converter, there's a couple of different ways to actually work that into Dogwaffle. You can either send it directly to Dogwaffle from that menu, or you could copy it into the clipboard, and then on the Dogwaffle side, you gotta grab it into the clipboard, or from the clipboard into your image buffer. So here we go. Let's make a selection of this. Let's go and grab. Let's get the rectangular selection, and we'll grab about this much here. Right. And crop to that. Image menu, crop to the selection. Still pretty big. What we'll do is we'll increase the dynamic range, so we have some better contrast there, and then we'll also give it a little bit of. Yeah. Now let's have a look here. So we'll go and store this image. You never know, we might need it again. And then we'll apply the lighting to this. Let's go filter. Stylize lighting tool. And that's here where you might see some waving patterns. Okay, so this is an interesting example where you might typically want to use that to create sand dunes or surfaces that look like the wind or some other elements have been forging that. In fact, if you increase the smoothness, it will show you more and more of those large patterns, and that's exactly where you see those sand dunes showing through. This is my cat's fur. Looks like this cat is from the Sahara. So let's see, let's give it a slightly different color. There you go. And a little bit more of a distance. There you go. Now this one we could just use by itself, or we might want to combine it with the other. We could put this one on top. Let's go and undo this. And load the other image into a different layer. Or how about we just spherize this one first? We'll go here, transform, spherize it. And there you go. So we got a little bit of a ridged planet. And a little bit of ambient light. There you go. Alright, so now here is where we might want to combine this one into it, but they're not the same size. So let's have a look what we can do here. First of all, I'm going to undo this image. There's a undo here somewhere. We can also just hit U for undo, or Control Z, both of these work. And what I'm going to do is load in a new layer, select a new layer, open this into a new layer. So let's open that and add another layer. Right, so in this layer is where I'm going to bring this guy in. Right, and of course these layers are not opaque. They are multiplied or additive or in some other ways combined. So there's lots of different layer modes, styles. Maybe screen mode might be useful here. We can work with that, but before we really worry about that, we need to make sure that we have them at about the same location, bring them on top of each other. So let's see what we could do. Perhaps we could use the screen mode. What was it that we had there? The additive. That doesn't look too good. Let's go with multiply. Multiply is going to make it really dark, difficult to work with initially. Maybe that could be useful. Alright, so let's do, if we use the shift tool under the transform category, with the shift we can shift that layer that we're working on, but we cannot transform it. We cannot scale it. It's a start though. With that we could probably pretty well center it, kind of approximately there. And then we can go to the transform and apply some additional transformation to that, including the scale. So here we can probably make it so that the two match. Close enough. We might want to adjust a little bit on the position here, and even rotation if we need it with a different angle. Apply that, and we can probably go and change the mode now, and that's where it's going to be interesting to see how we can get the two together. There you go. There's an example where we can actually see already one layer here and the other one superimposed, perhaps with a subtractive or maybe a tracing paper mode. There you go. And so soon enough you'll find ways to combine the two together into really great appearances. Perhaps we can use the color burn or the soft light, and hard light. And never mind those edges on the sides here, we can always darken those later, remove those and fix that later. At this point we're just looking for the perfect combination of the two layers. That doesn't look too ruined, although there's a little bit of a glow here that looks interesting, like as if there's some magma or lava. Vivid light, exclusion, and you see what happens here is that some of these will make it look like there are some snow caps or some areas, mountains that are a little bit higher elevation. You might see some water showing through. Very interesting. So now let's do this. Let's combine these together into a single layer. Let's merge or flatten these, and then again use the magic, the color pickup tool. Where is it? Where is my color pickup tool? There. And pick up this color, which is probably black, but we'll just grab it to be sure that we have it. And then we can go with the fill can tool. Click here, and here now. Right now it's not filling these, and that's probably because we have to use the anti-aliasing mode here. So let me undo this and do that again, and maybe we need to even go further and fix that with some additional, you know what, it's a paint program, you might as well just paint on it. So let's go with the brush, large airbrush in this case. Oops, not this one. Let's go and actually select this airbrush and really paint it right there on top. And if you want to get a close-up look here, we can do that. Alright, so that gives us a good idea of how we can combine a cup of coffee with a cup of cereal and make it an interesting looking planetary surface. And there we are. And then once again, one thing I'm going to do here is perhaps select the background and then invert the selection. So let's go with the magic wand, give it some anti-aliasing and a little bit of tolerance to kind of cut into the planet a little bit. Make sure we don't cut too much though. Yeah, see there's a little bit of crud over there, but that's okay. Let's shift click on this one to add that side. Yeah, that's not good. We need to redo that. Let's click here and click here. Still no good. Let's see if the anti-aliasing is what we... Yeah, that's probably better this way. Alright, so now we got the two outer parts. Let's go and invert the selection. So now we got just the inside. Oh, there's one little one here that didn't get selected, but that's okay, it's not going to bother us. Let's go pick that up under the brush. And we can go and erase the whole thing. First we can store this brush, right? Store and manage this brush. It's against a transparent background now. And so now we can go and perhaps create a new image of whatever size we want and make it to black, erase that to black, and then pick this brush and preview it. Click the preview here. It's a very large brush right now here, so we'll need to make that a little bit smaller. Oh, and look at that, it's got a little edge there that we didn't erase properly. Yeah, we'll probably want to clear that up at some point. And so what we'll do is we'll increase the opacity to the max, reduce the size. We can do that right here as we manage it. There you go. Perhaps even smaller. There you go. And actually that's not, that's too small. I needed this a little bit bigger. There you go. This is good. Now one thing we could do is reduce the saturation to make it kind of a grayish look for a rotated planet or a moon. A slightly different angle and much smaller. That one we will have darker too, and still smaller even than that. There you go. No, too big. Let's keep it something like this. Alright, so now at that point we have a planet in the foreground, we have a moon on the side. I know it's about to orbit, or it's just far away. And Let's see, what else do we need? Don't need this one anymore. We can get rid of these. I don't know, maybe some stars, maybe probably here on the linear tool we could use the lens flare or the nova options. Let's move this guy here, and move this guy here, and one more. Which one? Let's grab this guy. There you go. Maybe just around the rim of the planet, right here. There you go. And that's it for this little session of, what shall we call it? Daily Dose. Thanks for watching, and see you soon on another Daily Dose.